from the Asian Community Development Council. This is Family in Focus, Mondays at 12 noon on PHLV Radio.
Hi everyone, happy Monday. Welcome back to Family in Focus, presented by the Asian Community Development Council right here on PHLV Radio. Good to have all of you live here with us on Facebook and other platforms that we're on today. We're talking about a very special virtual online event that's happening not just here in Las Vegas or Southern Nevada, but across the country. It's called the Give in May campaign. If you have not seen this on your social media pages yet, we want you to tell you about it because it's such a great event that's happening to give back to your community in a big way. And I have some very special guests joining me today to talk more about it. But the Give in May campaign is basically created to help Asian American Pacific Islander related nonprofits, charity organizations across the country that have been hit hard, like other organizations out there, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, especially during this past year, not just financially, but you know that the Asian American Pacific Islander community has really been hit hard by all the other social issues that came with that as well, whether it be discrimination, violence, and that all impacted all these different organizations in so many ways. And here in Las Vegas, with the Asian Community Development Council, ACDC, stepping in to help coordinate the local efforts, it's been such an honor in order to introduce so many of these local organizations that you may not have heard before. And they're getting lots of support, financial support, because of this. And we want you to continue this effort because May is not over yet. It's only the 24th. We have another week to do this. So why don't we introduce you to some of these nonprofits, these great nonprofits, making such a big difference in the community. I will introduce to our first guest. We're going to bring up Preston Tang. He is Public Relations Chair for SNAPIQS, the Southern Nevada Asian Pacific Islander Queer Society. Thank you so much for being with us today. We also have Jen Caballero. She is the director of the Las Vegas Kaminari Taiko, and Jen just performed during the Asian Pacific American Heritage Month proclamation at the Clark County Commission's meeting just last week. So Jen was great there. And finally, we have with us today Mindy Lloyd, an old friend of mine, a great lady here in Southern Nevada. She is the co-founder and chair of Bamboo Bridges. So we're going to have all of them talk a little bit about their organization, what they've done. Preston, why don't I start with you? Give in May campaign has done such an impact for your organization as well. Talk a little bit about what you do here in Southern Nevada.
So my organization is, also, as mentioned earlier, the Southern Nevada Asian Pacific Islander Queer Society, also known as SNAPIQS. We serve all Asian Pacific Islander and Designated American of all sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression, also known as SOGI or LGBT, in the Southern Nevada region. There are social, cultural activities, education, mentorship, awareness, advocacy. We aim to create an inclusive, affirming, and empowering community. We're all volunteer grassroots organizations, so we've been dedicated to providing safe space for people to inspire to be their best self and celebrate their diversity, and we hope to fight for equality as well.
That's great. And talk to me about how this past year has been for your organization, obviously been impacted by the pandemic as well, right?
COVID-19 has really impacted a lot of our members. It has exacerbated the isolation, people feeling lonely, and the resources for LGBT API folks are very limited here in Southern Nevada. So that's SNAPIQS was born before 2018, so prior to the pandemic, and it was amazing to see how many folks are connecting online. We actually have since our start, we have over 200 active members participating in the organization on a daily basis or asking for resources. And in certain unfortunate situations, some of them got kicked out of their family, and we had to find them connections to get them stable housing. And it's been beautiful to see how SNAPIQS has grown over the past year, and how it's been further empowered to create a safe community where people can come together and feel connected with one another.
We heard about the Give in May campaign. What was your reaction that you were going to take part in something like this?
I think it was really powerful. Most of our activities we've done out of our own dollars, so the fact that we're able to participate in the Give in May campaign and be able to do so much more and give back so much more to our community, it's so so amazing, and we're so grateful to be part of the Give May campaign.
Yeah, and I want to put up, if Johan, you can put up the banners that we have, and I know we have QR codes associated with all these organizations we're talking about today too, so people can know where to donate. I know you can go to the Asian Community Development Council website in order to get more information as well, but you can see here on the screen, where you can go. You can put just, make it really easy, grab your mobile phone, put up to the QR code, and then you can donate directly. And I know it's been just amazing. I just looked up the numbers across the country, close to $500,000 already, and over 3,000 donors. So, people see the need, and people are just starting to recognize this diversity and representation needed for nonprofit organizations. And I want to bring in Jen Caballero here. You're the director of the Las Vegas Kaminari Taiko. Talk to us about your organization and the needs that are out there for your group as well.
Yeah. So again, we're Las Vegas Kaminari Taiko. We're sponsored by the Japanese American Citizens League as well. We've been a part of their group since we've started. We started in 1993. And mostly just to bring Japanese drumming to the Southern Nevada community. And since then, we've been able to, perform on the Strip, just mostly attacking, not necessarily attacking, that's a really strong word, but cultural appropriation with drumming. That, for me personally, that's been a huge battle. Learning about cultural appropriation. Even myself, I'm Filipino playing a Japanese art form. So what does that mean for me doing something that's not necessarily my culture? But, so that's a conversation that we always have within our group. And so because of that, our mission is basically just sharing Japanese culture through Taiko to the Southern Nevada community. And of course, because of COVID, we've lost a lot of our performances. Our, funds come from performances, and we've made this strong decision to not host new classes to be safe and things like that. So that's another source of income that we've lost essentially, but we are planning on hosting more in the near future. And so, when we got approached about this wonderful opportunity, we were so elated, and just, kind of seeing all the donations, it was very exciting to see.
Yeah. No, it's great. And I've heard of your group for a while. I've seen your performances live as well. And I know, especially here in Las Vegas, this is the core of our society here, right? Seeing those live performances and having you out there to represent, and I think a multi-ethnic, not just Japanese, but Filipino, but Asian, American Pacific Islander in general, and what's your reaction been so far with the donations that have been raised for your organization?
We get the emails and stuff, and every single time I'm just so grateful for little or large amounts. Everything that we get, and whenever we perform, we look at the audience, and we're so grateful for them to even just watch us for 5 seconds. And even if we end up going to an event where there's only one person, we are performing for that one person, and we are going to give our energy to that one person, or, hundreds of people, whichever comes out of it. And so each, for us, dollar amount, view amount is just as important, because we're sharing our passion.
And talk about passion. I wanted to bring in our next guest here, Mindy Lloyd, also another great person here in Southern Nevada who's given so much and dedicates so much to her organization and to our Southern Nevada community. Mindy, so good to see you. And I know you're actually in your car because you actually just got some donations from a community partner, right?
Yes, they're amazing. Our community is very, very wonderful. And we are so grateful for you to showcase, some of our groups that are going to benefit from giving May, because it's a much needed donations and funding is really much needed right now. So we're able to operate and help people in the community.
Talk to me about bamboo bridges. I know that your organization's been out there. When I was a reporter, I covered it quite a bit. But for people who haven't heard, and lots of new people coming to Southern Nevada all the time, tell us a little bit about bamboo bridges and what your organization does.
So I'm going to be really no filter here. Mm-hmm. A group of these women, we work, we're career women, and we all share these issues about what API women are, we face with in our lives. And one of the things that we were talking about was how we hate that we are always portrayed to as happy endings, and we said, there's so much happening back in 2006 about, human trafficking in Las Vegas. And Las Vegas is a corridor of, tourists. And if you know of the Chinatown area, there are over 80 massage parlors. Mm-hmm. So Bamboo Bridges, the women, we walked up and down the Chinatown district, and we visited every single massage parlor. And, we were able to find cases of women being exploited, mm-hmm. working in a business. There are a lot of legitimate businesses here in Las Vegas, but, there are some that are front for women that are being trafficked. And come along with that, we even run into more of domestic violence issues. And I remember when you were our great anchor woman in Channel 8, you had reported some of those issues, the Filipino women that were murdered mm-hmm. here in Las Vegas. So, there's a lot of those topics that people don't ever talk about here. It's just, it becomes a statistic. And so we're glad as Bamboo Bridges that we are able to be a voice for the family. Mm-hmm. We are able to advocate. We're able to focus on immigration issues that families deal with, and so much resources that we are able to give.
And talk to me about now that, obviously that COVID-19 has affected your organization because you aren't able to maybe get out as much, right? Just in the past year.
Yeah. So, during COVID, a lot of us, we can call a friend and say, hey, meet me at the local Starbucks mm-hmm. or a coffee shop. Let's get a bite to eat and then tell me your problems. Because of COVID, you weren't able to do that. And then even that, you can bring them in your home, or you couldn't utilize places, safe havens for you to reach out to. That's what COVID has done. Mm-hmm. And so we are fortunate that maybe that whatever funding that we're able to get in this, that we are going to be able to reopen up our own office, our own building.
That's great. And, and that's the reason that we want to put this show together, is to let people know that you're all out there, that you exist, that you have the mission that you're trying to accomplish yesterday, just all year round. Right. And Preston, talk to me a little bit. I'll bring it back to you. When we're talking about your passion, dedication for your organization, with the money raised, what can you do to help the people that you're trying to help?
Of course, we want to continue to offer free programming for our LGBT youth, as well as young adults and seniors, just because we want to make sure that regardless of if they have the means or don't have the means, we make sure they are able to access programming that's important to them. Education, whether that's cultural, but also education about their sexual health, their well-being, and how do they advocate for their community as well, and teaching them to become leaders, and also additional giving resources to food or housing. Mm-hmm. So we do a lot within the organization, and we have so much more to give. So yeah.
And it's so important because we actually have talked on this program before about that kind of limited or lack of, especially mental health resources, not just for the LGBTQ community, but the Asian Pacific Islander community in general, right? Having that to break the language barriers and the cultural barriers for, people to come out and share their stories. I think it's so important to have an organization like yours out there, especially targeting a lot of young people, right? That you're probably meeting as young as high school and people, teenagers that can come in and benefit from the organization.
Indeed, yeah.
No, it's great. And Jen, talk to me about the people that you're reaching. I'm sure there's been some personal stories that are really kind of touching and that you're getting out there and kind of share what you're putting out there as part of your art as well. Yeah.
So what I like to think about whenever new people come in is like, why do they want to join Taiko? It's such a niche kind of activity. And a lot of it is whether they're reconnecting to their own roots, or it's a nice bridge between a Japanese like language student to more advanced things. While we don't speak Japanese within our own classes, we do a lot of practices, like Aisatsu is like the beginning of an event or a meeting. We try to do those kinds of traditional or cultural. Sorry, I can't think of my own words right now, but we try to bridge those together. And we're talking about multicultural. Our group has been very inclusive. I think, we try really hard not to prevent anyone from playing Taiko itself. So when we go to events, we try really hard to make sure that we're doing the Taiko community it justice, in how we portray ourselves and inviting people to become new Taiko players.
I think it's great. Yeah, I think sometimes people underestimate that power just of that sound, just of that performance and the making connection in the community in that way. I definitely felt it, whenever I watch your performances. So I think it's great. And I love that you're Filipino, but you're doing a Japanese form of art. I think that's really great. And Mindy, you go out there and meet so many people in the community. What's kind of been your reaction to see just the positive feedback you've gotten? I know we talk about the negative things all the time, but I'm sure you've seen all these people stepping up to really, give the Asian American Pacific Islander community a lot back during this past year as well, right?
Yeah, it's nice that people are able to embrace that because it shouldn't been. This is our time for AAPI, but it's always been the time before, and just to speak up. And I love what SNAPIQS is doing because, we focus so much on our youth because that's our future. But, when our schools go back to 100%, our colleges, we're bringing out prevention, how to raise awareness on how to, the do's and don'ts and what happens in colleges, sexual dating, the positive datings. So I'm so grateful for all these groups. Taiko group is one of our very favorite when we do our youth leadership group because they come out and they see that culture. And so all these groups that are coming out, it's not just a contest for Give in May, but it shows you, look at all these resources that we are able to utilize that's out there.
Yeah. And what you do and what all the organizations are doing so great because you're really reaching communities that may not come out publicly and say that I need the help, especially, Bamboo Bridges. If you don't see these survivors of trauma or even victims of trauma, if you don't get out there and gain the trust of these people, they don't necessarily come up and tell you that that's what they're dealing with. And I think that's what's so great. I mean, Preston, is that what you see? Is like sometimes you have to be that voice or else they're not going to come out and address these issues, right?
Yes, very true. If no one's going to talk about it and people are afraid to talk about it, who else is going to talk about it? And why not create leaders? I like to say, there's a saying that I like to say, it's like, we don't create followers. We empower others to become leaders so that they can lead the future generation. And that's what we hope for every member within SNAPIQS and all of our community to thrive and be successful as an organization, but to support one another. And we love Give and May for that opportunity to support one another in this very time of need.
Yeah, well, Give and May is not over. I want to give all of you a chance to kind of recap this, and as we're going to put up those QR codes once again, so people know if you want to give to any of these organizations and more. There are lots of organizations that are out there. Maybe pick one that you feel are especially close to your heart and give. And as Preston was saying earlier, no amount is too little, right? Like you just want to give what you can. I know it's a tough time for so many of us financially, but if you can just give a little bit to an organization that you care about, this is what Give in May is all about. Jen, do you have any kind of final words? What do you want to put out there to the community who have maybe supported you just from the beginning and give back in such a big way?
Yeah, we so something that a little bit of an incentive where we're going to put on a virtual concert for any donors, and I would like to invite anybody that would like to watch, but mostly we thank the whole AAPI community in Southern Nevada, especially. I mean, with being with these two guests and you yourself, Petrania, like. It's so amazing to see the support that all of us are giving each other. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to use Taiko to lift everybody's energy, and we can do it.
Yes, definitely. How about you, Mindy? Any words you want to put out there? I do miss talking to you and just being with you in person, hopefully soon. But you're such an inspiration. What do you want to share with the community today?
I would like to convey that, there's so many sources out there, and that don't be a statistic, don't be a number. I sure wouldn't want to hear your story because you became, one of our victims. And, please call. Don't hesitate to reach out for help.
Yes, for sure. And Bamboo Bridges is there. Preston, any final words from you?
In regards to final words, thank you so much for having us all on here and talking about all of our unique organizations. And I'm so grateful to be here in the presence of many other great organizations as well. And we're all doing amazing work, and any support you can give us would be great. We're all grateful for it.
Well, thank you so much. So I just want to thank our guest again for today, Mindy Lloyd, the co-founder and chairwoman of Bamboo Bridges. Also Preston Tang, as you heard there from SNAPIQS, and also Jen Caballero with Las Vegas Kaminari Taiko. I hope I get to see your performance soon. And also to remind you, the Asian Community Development Council is also one of the nonprofits taking part in Give in May. So if you want to give back to ACDC, definitely take part. We're going to put up, as we leave the screen here, those QR codes. Give what you can, give when you can. Doesn't just have to be in May, right? You can give your time and energy and volunteer. You can't give money, obviously, give what you can. But this is such a great campaign, and we're so glad to be part of it. And thank you to all my guests for joining me today. Have a great day. Stay safe out there, everybody. And we'll see you again on the next episode of Family in Focus. Have a great day.